Hello everybody, Happy New Year, and this is going to be the first video about the Federal Reserve and their money printing and why I believe it will not affect the precious metals prices. First off, let's just start off and see what happened with the QE1, QE2, and then QE3. When I first got into precious metals in July 2012, they just started first coming out with QE1. And silver was about $28 when I first started, and it went into about $30, maybe $31, somewhere around that range. QE2 came involved. Silver went up to about $35, and I'm jumping up and down for joy. This is my first investment, and I'm thinking to myself, Mike Maloney's right. All these other guys are right. This is the easiest investment to get yourself into, because the more money they're printing in our system, the quicker our dollar gets devalued, the faster our prices of the precious metals go up. It was like a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you invest in something like this? It's the easiest investment in the world. Well, QE3 came out, and it wasn't such an easy investment anymore. Now wasn't a no-brainer. Got crushed, those metals, into the low 18s from 35. Half the value. Done. Terrible. And the printing the money now in QE3 is a roughly $85 billion. And I believe it's at least double that. I even saw a couple of videos that people are saying that it's up to $200 billion per month. And why didn't it affect the precious metals? In that time frame, they've been printing $85 billion a month for infinity, and yet the precious metals are still getting crushed. Why? Here's my theory. First of all, the money that the Federal Reserve is printing is not going to the people, the citizens. They're keeping it from us. They are spreading it around to the elite. Two factors or two sections or sectors that money's going to. One, to buy the treasury bonds, which people are not buying, including other countries. It is a losing battle, and the main reason why I believe the other countries are not purchasing these treasury bonds is because they're getting away from the petrodollar. I did make a video in here on my channel about the petrodollar, but going over it briefly for you real quick, for those who didn't see the video, is that other countries, when they sell their oil for US dollars, they can't keep all the profits. They could take some of that money out and buy U.S. Treasury bonds with it. That is a losing cause of an investment. The yield on those bonds is lower than inflation, so it's an automatic loss of value of your money for an investment. Who wants to invest in something that's automatically a loss? It's stupid. Okay? So this is why I believe the Federal Reserve has to be printing, I believe it's $45 billion a month for that sector, and $40 billion a month for the mortgage-backed securities. Now, that is basically going to the banks. Okay, the mortgage-backed securities is backing up the banks for the bad mortgages that they had out. People are losing their homes left and right. But supposedly the economy is supposed to be doing great. But yet, people are still going in foreclosures on an unremarkable rate. I saw a few months ago that it was an average of 39,000 homes a month are going under foreclosure in the United States. That's a lot, almost 40,000 a month. That's a lot of people losing their homes. That's scary. The economy cannot be doing better with stats like that. It's impossible. Okay, now, since I got covered that the Federal Reserve is printing $85 billion, well, they say, I don't trust them at all. Would you trust anybody who says that food and energy does not have to be in the charge for inflation? Sounds a little fishy to me, because if you add those to the charts, the inflation true rate would be shown, and they do not want that shown. So they're very decisive. The Federal Reserve, they have nobody that they have to answer to. Nobody can audit them. They've been trying for years and years and years, And the last time they've been audited was in the 1950s for the gold. So even Fort Knox can't even get in there. It's terrible. On our own soil, we can't even audit that. It's a shame. But anyway, back to the cause of the Federal Reserve. Since that money is not going into society, that's the reason why the precious metals are not going up. And another scary thing, all this money printing, which is unprecedented amount, they're printing more money now than he ever did in history. Okay? But yet our money velocity is as low as it was in decades. And that basically means money leaving my hand, going to somebody else's and somebody else's. It's the flow of cash from one hand to another. Now, how could there be that much money printing and very little cash flow to the people? That's another sign telling you that the money is not going to us, it's going to the banks, and the banks are throwing it into basically the stock market, which is why that's the only thing that's going up into new highs. Okay? So it's not companies doing greater, it's just printed money getting thrown in there to make things manipulated, like the economy's doing great. Everything is manipulated in this world, so I'm tired of people crying about the precious metals being manipulated. Okay? They're being manipulated in an area because that is the Federal Reserve's enemy. If precious metals are going through the roof because they keep printing money and the value of the dollar keeps going down, that's proving to the world that the Federal Reserve System has failed and they can't have that. So they can do whatever they want. Knock down the precious metal prices at will. Also could be supply and demand. There's more than silver than ever before. But gold is being bought at record amounts. Silver is still being bought in a record amounts, but yet the prices still go down, which showing you to me that manipulation is there. Okay? It's not just supply and demand like Raw Dog's talking about, although I believe there's a bigger supply of silver than people think. Anyway, so now, since the money's not going to the people, what would possibly make the hyperinflation come into America to make these precious metals go up to, say, gold 56,000? Everybody's talking about $1,500 silver. They're saying that people don't want the petrodollar or the dollar as a world currency, and they're going to start sending them all back into the United States, and they're going to flood our country. All right, this is what I have a problem with this. Everybody's talking about the Federal Reserve printing money, but nobody's talking about how the Federal Reserve destroys money. Okay, they are in control of this system. If they want inflation, real inflation, like we know we have, but if they really want inflation because of too much money in their hands, then they can. Okay, so they can take money out. Every time we buy a house, make a mortgage, sign a loan for a house, car, boat, use our credit card, money has been created into our system. But every month when we pay off those mortgages or loans, the money is destroyed. It's leaving the system. Okay? So say China has $3 trillion and they don't want any more. I don't want American dollars no more. Screw you guys. So to be world currencies, here's your $3 trillion. You think we're all going to wake up one day and there's going to be $1 billion in our backyard for us to pick up the ground and buy gold and silver with? Seriously? That money's not going to the people. It's going to the Federal Reserve and to our government, which can easily open up the burner and throw it in and burn it up out of the existence, destroying the cash. Another way to avoid hyperinflation, keeping our metals low, and low. So I don't see other countries giving in our money. Why the government can not just destroy it. They destroy money. They don't have to keep it in existence. What do you think they're going to do? China gives up their $3 trillion. Give us all a check for $10 billion? Seriously? They're in control of the system. Okay? If other countries really wanted to destroy America by doing this, they already would have done it. Because they can't. Okay? China wants to be the world currency. Well, let me tell you something about China. China's paper fiat currency system failed more than any other system in existence. I think it's failed like 10 times in the last 1,000 years, a couple hundred years. It's crazy amount. I know they're buying a lot of gold. Maybe this time they're doing it the right way, backing it up by real metals. But I just don't see hyperinflation coming into America any which way, shape, or form. I don't see it. Metals prices are going to go up, and basically fear factors like another stock market crash, a housing bubble crash, another asset class is going to have to crash for the precious metals to rise again into a new bull market. I truly believe it could be from the dollar collapsing, but I really don't know if I really buy that into that. I know dollars actually lost 97% of its value, and these are the reasons why I pretty much invest in precious metals, along with other areas that I did in my last video, why I invest in precious metals. It's all about economy reasons why I invest. It's all BS. Things are collapsing all around us. The economy's getting worse and worse and worse. They're just finding more creative ways to manipulate that and making us thinking things are doing great. So that's my thought on the Federal Reserve and money printing and what it's doing to the value of the precious metals, which is nothing. They can control that, keeping it out of the hands of the citizens. That will avoid hyperinflation to make these prices go skyrocket. And in any comments, feel free to add your thoughts, knowledge on this situation about the money printing and the destroying of the dollar by the Federal Reserve. And if anybody else knows about the treasury bonds from other countries, feel free to ask. Thank you very much, and everybody have a happy new year.